Hey guys, Erik the Travel Guy, and I want to take just a second to tell you more about how to make your own podcast, and it's exactly how we do it. Stay with me on this. I want to introduce you to Anchor. It's the easiest way to make podcasts. It's very simple, and let me explain why. First of all, it's free. They've got creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and lots of others. And you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. All you have to do, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. As far as I'm concerned, it is the only travel podcast you're ever going to need. I am Erik Hastings. Welcome back to Travel Truth and Other Confessions, and it is a special edition you are listening to. This podcast can be found at fine podcast retailers worldwide, or wherever you get your podcasts. That would be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and lots of others. My dear friend Andrew Kalb is with us today because we have this situation that just kind of keeps getting worse, although I'm not quite sure if it's actually getting worse. I don't know. We need to break it down for you because normally we would be talking about where to go, what to do, where to stay, how to get the most out of your next vacation. And of course, that includes maybe staying closer to home, maybe doing a bucket list trip, and that also includes when to do so and how it relates to this pandemic we're still going through. But Andrew Kalb is here specifically today because, Andrew, by the way, thank you for being here.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
I want to talk about this story coming out of the UK that broke really over the weekend and break it down for us in terms of what it means for us. Let's start with what's going on over there. We now have a name of this new strain of the coronavirus, right? We have a name for it, right?
There may be a name, but I don't know if we can pronounce that name. But there is a new variant of the coronavirus
Got it.
that may be 70% more transmissible than the coronavirus we're dealing with here in the States and what we've been dealing with around the world, actually.
So what happened was they found a new strain, and the government essentially said, that's it, shut it down. Is that what happened? We're not going to allow flights out of the UK? Or was it the other countries that said, if you're from the UK and you're flying, we don't want you here? Is that basically what happened?
Well, as you said, it started over the weekend when Boris Johnson spoke to the country and said, we have this new variant. There's some challenges going on with this. It's been a rough year, and we believe that this may be a serious situation. And when that happened, people started to run to the travel centers throughout London and throughout the UK to get out, because they were concerned that they would not be able to move around.
Right.
And that did indeed happen.
Right.
I mean, we've seen, some big numbers where 40 countries now have banned travel from the UK into their country. 120 other countries. You have to have a negative COVID test before leaving the UK and getting on an airplane to travel anywhere else in the world, except the United States, one of the countries that has not, implemented that. And there's been a cautious play by the health officials here in the States, including Dr. Fauci, who said, let's not overreact.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens first and learn from that. Well,
that brings me to my next question would be, should we be banning these flights as well, or should we stick with Dr. Fauci on this, or not just Dr. Fauci, of course, but are we underreacting here in the United States? What do you think?
That's a great question. And that's the one that the answer will be time will tell.
Yeah.
Because we know what happened in the earlier part of this year when the virus may have started in Asia, in China in particular, made its way to Europe. And people were still flying from Europe into the United States, even though the president banned travel from China. People were still traveling where the virus was in Italy, England, France, you name it, into the U.S. And there were already big numbers of cases in those parts of the world when people were traveling to the U.S. Time will tell. We just don't know too much yet to understand how serious this variant may be and what the numbers are. But basically, if somebody has it and somebody gets on an airplane, it can't be good if they're traveling around with coronavirus to begin with, and
Right.
particularly this much more stronger variant, if you will.
Right. Well, and that that brings up the notion too. It's worth noting that fewer people are traveling today than there were at the end of 2019 or at the beginning of this pandemic, at the beginning of this year. I mean, that certainly was the case over there, and it's certainly the case here. Correct?
No, you're absolutely right, Eric. I find myself saying that a lot whenever we chat. You are absolutely right.
Well,
And
what can I say, Andrew? It's good to be the king. It's good
no doubt. And we are talking about UK, and kings are there's a history there.
They have a whole royal thing over there. Yes, they do.
That's what I hear. But you're 100% correct. What we've seen is a tremendous drop off in travel in 2020. That we know. However, we've had the last 4 days or so, we've had about 1 million people flying in the United States. And those are the biggest numbers we've seen basically since the pandemic. We saw a spike, obviously, in people traveling around Thanksgiving. But the numbers that we've seen the last few days in particular, the last 4 days, 1 million, give or take a little bit. However, the most we've seen this year, but still down at least 50% from 1 year ago.
Right. And I do think it's worth noting here now, it may sound, if you're not really paying attention to what we're saying, it may sound like we're making light of this. Absolutely 100% no. I am not. Andrew, I know you are not. These are serious issues. However, I do think we're a little, I don't want to say desensitized to them, but it's almost... now, see, I'm going to get in trouble for saying something like this, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's almost that this is good that this is happening now. And the reason I say that, and again, I won't throw you on this bus along with me, Andrew. You can stay Switzerland if you wish. But to me, we have been preparing for this holiday season, and most took action. Yes, we saw the spike from Thanksgiving travel here in the United States. Yes, we're going to see a spike of cases because of the holiday travel around Hanukkah and Christmas and Kwanzaa and this period of time. But I do think that there's a good thing going on that this should come about now in the UK, because I think it's preparing us for, we're not done with this virus. And I'm not suggesting that people think we are, but I also think it's a good cautionary note now. This could happen again in March. This could happen again in April. We're going to have to continue to be vigilant. We're going to have to continue to pay attention to this virus and the strains of it that may come up, wouldn't you say?
No, absolutely. It's interesting. We've seen the vaccines in the last week or so. People are being vaccinated in the country.
Yeah.
And that's helpful. That's a positive. That's a really, really good thing. And that's going to help. Mask wearing, we know, helps, and social distancing helps. When you travel, look, the airplane is probably the cleanest it's ever been.
Correct.
Anytime any of us have ever been on an airplane.
Yeah.
But you're still around more people. You still put yourself out there.
Right.
And if you're around people, there's a greater chance something may happen.
Right.
There is light at the end of the tunnel. That's true. But with that said, we're seeing some of the largest numbers of cases. Unfortunately, some of the largest numbers of people dying.
Mm-hmm.
It's still really dangerous. And the question, I know you've spoken about this before, should you travel? That's an individual question you have to ask yourself, and what's best for you and your family. We know what the government health officials have recommended.
Right.
Stay home.
Well,
bite the bullet and stay home this year, and realize you're helping yourself and you're helping others.
Well, and that's the whole thing of like, well, should I travel? Let's not shoot all over ourselves here. I mean, that's up to you. But if we're taking the guidance from the authorities in this country, they're saying, no, we would appreciate it if you didn't. We would appreciate it if you would stay home. The problem, of course, is that the longer we stay home, the worse and worse the travel industry hurts, the harder it hurts. And when I say travel industry, I'm talking about the entire travel industry. It's real easy to talk about, oh, well, we're not going to go on cruise ships right now. Okay, fine. We're not going to fly right now. Okay, fine. Well, you just took, the cruise industry and the commercial aviation business, and everybody that works for them out of business But that's not even what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the restaurants. I'm talking about the museums. I'm talking about the theme parks. I'm talking about, there are millions and millions of these businesses that are going to continue to hurt the longer we don't travel. However, it's the best thing for right now. I don't know.
There's a couple ways to think about this and look at this right now. We've gotten through 9-10 months. Another couple of months, we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And there really is, you can see the end coming. It's going to be a bumpy road to get there.
Yeah.
But you can definitely see that. But you're 100% spot on, Erik, in that it's a residual impact on all these other industries, from Uber drivers, taxi drivers, you name it. It just goes on and on. We've learned so much during this pandemic on how much everything is connected and interconnected. It's not just the airlines that, they want you to fly and they're doing their best to make it as safe for you as possible. But that's just one small part of it, actually.
Yeah, agreed. And again, now we're certainly, we've gotten good at this. I hate to say it, but we've had enough time. These industries are saying, well, we're hedging our bets. We're saying we're going to put out some good deals. You'll see great travel deals all over the place. Why? Well, because there's no reason not to put them out there. And I think the most significant changes that we have seen, in addition to the health and safety, is the change fees. And I love the fact that the industry, for the most part, is saying, we get it. We understand. Book it now. We need your money. But if you want to change it for your own reasons, we'll let you do that, for the most part. So there are deals to be had for future travel. And if that's something, we've talked about that before on this podcast, and we'll continue to do so. But for the time being, it's best to stay home.
Absolutely. It's the safest way to go. It may not be the most fun holiday season for some.
No.
But be creative, Mom and dad, grandma and grandpa, you can have a lot of fun with them, no doubt.
You got that right. Hey, I was just upstairs playing a little Yahtzee here this afternoon. So,
Did you win?
I did. I did win my Yahtzee game. I just can't allow to be beaten by my children at a game. And now some people might say, well, gee, Erik, let
Dad
the kids
of the Year
win.
award goes to?
I'm just saying, I can't do it. What am I going to teach them? What am I teaching my children if I allow them to win? Forget it. No.
It's a whole other conversation. Maybe that's another episode of the fine podcast that you host.
Well, I've been told I need to make more episodes, so maybe we'll talk about that on the next one. What does this story mean to us? Not a whole lot if you weren't already planning on traveling to the UK. Obviously, if you don't live in the UK, it's not going to affect you a lot. If you live in New York, there are certainly a lot of UK flights that come in here every day. I forgot what the current number is, but I
believe it's 6, Erik. I believe it's 6 into JFK, and then, of course, there's a number of them that come into Newark, which is, of course, in New Jersey.
Yeah, that is correct. Thank you for the geography lesson. That's right, Liberty International Airport. But what does it mean to us? Not a whole lot yet, other than pay attention to this, because I don't think this is the only time we're going to have to go through this. I hate to say it, but I don't think so. But I think we're going to be better prepared and better. We certainly, every time we go through one of these things, we understand this virus more and more. And that part is good. But be on the lookout. There's going to be more to come on this. I hope there isn't. I really do. I'd like to get back to work, and get back to vacations. But it is possible that we're going to see this again. Andrew, thank you for this. I appreciate it, my friend.
My pleasure. Happy holidays.
Thank you very much. Do we do music at the thing? I think we do. Oh, there it is. Thank you, Andrew. All right. As I said, it is Travel Truth and Other Confessions, a special edition, thanks to Andrew Kalb, who does keep an eye on these things for us. And we will continue this conversation as we always do. Don't forget, it's important to like this episode. If you do like this episode, rate it, share it, listen to it, subscribe to it. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. I almost made it clean, Andrew. Almost. We'll get it. Thanks for listening.